Oh, above him.
Most blistering starts to a tennis match.
Shakespeare got it wrong. It wasn't King Lear. It's King Lear.
LeBron James with no regard for human.
Yuvraj Singh finishes things off on style.
This is a News Laundry podcast, and you're listening to NL Playoffs.
Hello and welcome to NL Playoffs. This is round 27 of our NL Playoffs podcast. My name is Gautam. I have with me my co-host Aniket. Aniket, say namaste.
Hello world.
Aniket, how's it going, man? How's your last couple of weeks been, sporting-wise?
Sporting-wise, it's been bad because I've not caught up with too many sports, even though there was so much happening in the world of sport. But how am I doing? I'm doing fine. I'm alive. I'm grateful. So, counting my blessings. Yeah.
We just finished with the last Grand Slam of the year in the world of tennis, which is US Open. So we have a recurring guest back again on the podcast. We have Abhijit joining us. Abhijit, welcome back. And quite a last week for you on the News Laundry podcast. I heard your name on the Hafta last week. I don't know if you did or not.
Oh, thanks, man. I haven't heard my name on Hafta, so I might just go back and check that.
Okay, so he's apparently you gave a book to Abhinandan, so he read it. So he recommended that book on the Hafta.
Wow.
So that's how I heard your name.
That's so nice.
So quite a week for you.
Yeah. But yeah, again, the US Open, man. What a tournament. I mean, we have a lot to cover in this episode, I guess.
Yeah, we do have a lot to cover in the episode. We have US Open tennis coming up. We were just talking offline about the Asia Cup. I watched it as much as I could. I know, Aniket, you're probably time zone disadvantaged with Asia Cup. But then I think the major takeaway obviously was the two India-Pakistan games from like not just a sporting point of view, but off the field point of view, which the Hafta folks covered, I think, quite well on the last episode. So if you want to follow the whole Arshdeep Singh fiasco offline, I guess, after the match and online, you can definitely follow that. Having said that, Sri Lanka did end up winning the Asia Cup. I think they had a really good tournament in terms of, that team comes across to me like a team that has, where the sum or the parts is greater than the sum, or the sum is greater than the whole. Am I saying that right? What is the proverb, I guess?
What a way to put me on the spot. Okay. But I think it's the parts. I don't know, dude. I get what you're saying.
The parts is greater than the whole. You get it. But yeah, they really have a good team. They have a really good bunch of T20 players. So the Sri Lankans ended up winning it. But I think the bigger tournament that is coming up, all of these are preparations towards the T20 World Cup coming up later this year in Australia. So once that kicks off, I think we're going to definitely discuss that in detail. Abhijit, I know you said you did watch a little bit of the Asia Cup. What were your main takeaways from it?
Yeah, dude. I mean, every time there's an India-Pakistan match, like every other fellow Indian, I will tune in. And the first match was great. The second one we lost. But my takeaway was just that there's so much hatred, man, about, how when teams lose, basically, beat India or Pakistan. And you saw what happened online. That was very unfortunate. But like one silver lining in all of this was Sri Lanka winning the Asia Cup with, whatever happened in their country with the whole geopolitics. So yeah, sports is something that will always, make such impact. And now we move to the T20 World Cup. And I just hope, we manage to go deep in the tournament, because I'm not very confident with what happened with Rohit Sharma's captaincy in the IPL and how we performed at this Asia Cup. So, yeah, I'm not too confident, but let's see.
I was surprised by... No, go ahead, Abhijit.
Yeah, so I was you guys mentioned this. I was thinking about this. So even due to the time zones, right? Somehow, I've stopped watching cricket for a while now. But somehow when there's an India-Pakistan match, I will end up logging in and checking the score, if not watch the game. And this time I did catch...
Is that the Fauji kid in you, Aniket?
I don't know what it is. I think it's I don't know. I've stopped following cricket, but there is something about an India... I've been trying to analyze this and why it's this way, but it is the way it is. Because I did catch the first game. The second game not complete. But yeah, and it was sad to see what happened with Arshdeep. But I also have a strong opinion. I feel... it's only people who don't play the sport or don't understand sport who create these campaigns or whatever it is, I don't know, but this form of trolling, rather sad. But again, hey, Sri Lanka is a story we should focus on, because that shows the power of sport.
Yes, Sri Lanka, by the way, was the official host country for the Asia Cup this year. They just couldn't host it there, so they moved it to the UAE. The other thing about Arshdeep, just wanted to add a quick note on that, is that there's this whole thing of he was laughing after he dropped the catch. Well, he was not laughing. People react differently to different adversities, right? All people are different. I'm sure he was not feeling happy about dropping an easy catch. It was just a nervous laughter. It could be anything. People react differently to adversity. So I don't know. It's a whole thing. But he's a great bowler. If you watch the second India-Pakistan game, the last over, he did not have much to play with. He bowled a great over. Now the run out and all of that, we can debate till the cows come home. But I think he bowled a brilliant over. So he got picked again for the T20 World Cup squad, which is great. Rohit Sharma, by the way, I know Abhijit was talking about him. Uncharacteristically flustered, a little irritable, I thought. Mumbai Indians, I think he had obviously a much better team with all the riches and glory and whatnot, but definitely found him a little irritable and throwing a few temper tantrums here and there, Abhijit.
Yeah, dude, like someone like Rohit Sharma, I'm a big fan. Okay, you're coming from Mumbai, being a fan of Mumbai Indians, having met him. I think Rohit Sharma is, I think, a spectacular guy. But lately, I'm not very happy with his choices when it comes to captaincy. And like that's what I said. I'm not very confident going into the T20 World Cup. Let's see what happens.
It's so again, my opinions about Rohit Sharma will be based off 2 games, so it's unfair because I just got 2 games. But even in these 2 games, which seemed to be crucial games, he seemed uninspiring. I can't find a better word to say than this. That somehow he didn't. I get the feeling of him being a leader and stepping out. I don't know. It's personality. It's just the way he is. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
I think a part of it is his personality, where he's just a little
lethargic.
But it also so again, cricket is not the most physical sport, but for somehow Rohit Sharma seems more of the physicality in the game than an average cricketer. Even Indian cricketers, let's not talk about like Australians and New Zealanders and others, but just in India, he doesn't seem physically ready. I could be wrong because I'm just looking from appearances and telling, but it just seems very uninspiring and underwhelming.
No, that's the Abhinandan was briefly talking about it, about how he does not have like an athlete's body or something, but he's been that way for the last few years. I think he's put on weight. He's definitely packed a few pounds on the belly, definitely. But I mean, cricket is a different sport. It needs a different set of skills, different physicality, as you said. So just because a person is a little bit on the higher side doesn't mean he's not fit to play cricket or something like that. But he's definitely on the, let's say, on the other side of the scale than compared to Kohli. But as long as he delivers, he's definitely. I don't think that necessarily helps putting on weight. I'm not saying that, but hey, there were like former Australian players or former Indian players who did great being at X level of fitness. But I get your point up.
Yeah, and my point is not that people shouldn't be selected because they are slightly not physically fit, because again, batting is about footwork. It's not about like you're not a pace bowler where you're running a few kilometers every game, so it's all about footwork, timing, hand-eye coordination. You can still have all of that. So yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, so so that's as far as Asia Cup. I think once we get to the T20 World Cup, we'll talk more cricket, I'm sure. Which we want to, so we'll hopefully have some more guests on. But having said that, I think we should move towards the world of tennis. But just before that, I know Aniket and I discussed this a couple of episodes back, Abhijit, so I'm going to ask you this question in light of Queen Elizabeth's passing. All of the Premier League matches were postponed last week. There was no football over the weekend, which absolutely sucked for me because I was home sitting doing nothing except watching Formula 1, and that was it. What do you make of the whole response to the Queen's passing in the Commonwealth? I'm not saying in England because
It's understandable.
I guess it's understandable. Yeah, I agree with that. What do you make of the whole reaction in the Commonwealth countries? You see most of the African countries in India. There's all of these quote unquote tributes pouring into the Queen. What did you make of this reaction?
I think I had a more of a mixed reaction. I wasn't like, oh, you should like not celebrate the Queen, or you should, be talking ill about her at this time. Because I'm a big fan of history, so I've read a lot about her and I've seen a lot of TV shows and documentaries about her. So it's not like I admire her or something, but she's been a part of, very important historical events, for past 7 decades. So I understand where those the tributes and thoughts are coming from. But at the same time, it's understandable when, you see many African countries or Asian countries whose people are mad that, she's still, wearing the crown jewels of people her ancestors slaved, So that's not good. So yeah, but I understand. I mean, in United Kingdom, if people are not playing sporting events for one weekend, that's fine, I guess. I don't see any problem there.
For me, the irony was England was playing South Africa in a test series, right? So it got postponed by a couple of days. The irony was that there was like I think there was like a minute silence or a couple of minutes silence before the start of day's play on the third day, I think, which was technically the first day of the test match. So there was this whole silence, and it was just ironic that South Africa was there and observing a minute's silence for the Queen, Aniket.
Yeah. Again, I have a lot of opinions on this, but I'll keep them to myself. But I do understand. You feel grief of any person passing away, right? Any person, especially if you've known about them, read about them, you feel grief. Yeah, I have nothing more to add than I feel sad that somebody important passed away, but I don't think I'm not a big fan of the whole monarchy, and I don't understand it. I should put it that way, that I don't understand what the monarchy does and why it should even exist in today's world. We discussed this, I think, last episode. I was in London and it was just weird. Yeah.
Today I feel they're more like actors, and it kind of helps them, the UK population, when like, the government fails them, they have a figure to look at which is like stable. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that, but I think it's a topic for another podcast some other time.
No, yeah, but I just wanted to discuss that in light of the whole, postponements and so on. Because even in Wimbledon, right, I think there was the Duke of the Edinburgh, right? It was Duke of Edinburgh who often comes and
now it's
the trophy.
Now it's the what's her name? Williams' wife.
Okay.
Kate. Yeah.
Oh, Middleton. Yeah.
Middleton comes in now. Instead of.
Okay. Yeah. So the whole thing where, when they come and they just do the whole gesture and all of that seems like they whole do, either they bow or the ladies do the whole bending their knees thing. It's all so weird to me. And in the 21st century, that's all.
Yeah. And I also had a question. So given that the footballing season already has a packed schedule, right? Because the World Cup's coming up. It's very interesting to see how this postponement would impact rest of the leagues, because you're obviously already playing like almost 3 matches a week for the top teams especially, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I also found it, maybe it's only me and maybe it's not because I don't have a nuanced argument, but this league was played during peak pandemic, right? It was not postponed, it was played during, obviously it was played in closed stadiums, but it was played nevertheless, and I don't know how many people died. So I'm conflicted on the fact of this postponement. I don't know. I'm trying to still understand. Obviously, there's a more nuanced argument to this. It's a mourning. I understand it's someone important, but I'm trying to learn more. That's all I can say.
I think I was listening to the Guardian Football Weekly. They have a great football podcast. So I think it has to do with the backlash that corporations usually get in this day and age. When things go, it's just it's social media mobbing, right? So let's say the Premier League goes ahead, and there is a minute silence or a couple of minutes silence, and just a section of the crowd boos the Queen or something like that, right? And then it's a Twitter storm after that.
They are
just a
doing it to
backlash
Ireland
after.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's just backlash after backlash after backlash on Twitter, and I think they were afraid of the backlash. There's nothing else other than that. But I think now that the cricket tournament,
Sorry, is it because that people in the stadium might react negatively? Was that the reason? Like,
I think that's definitely
but you
the
have
reason,
people
because
reacting on Twitter anyways negatively. So, I mean,
no, but it's different when you can see it with your eyes, right? There's the whole minute silence. All the whole stadium is quiet, but then there's you can hear a section of people booing the Queen, let's say, and then it's just one thing leads to another on Twitter.
it's not good
and
optics.
It's just
Yeah.
yeah. It's after that it's just hashtag boycott Premier League for a week or two. That keeps trending for like 5 days, and the now Premier League has to put out a statement and say they regret, apologies, and all that. But I think now, in hindsight, I think just judging by the public reaction to the minute silence in the Test match, and I think there was a golfing tournament that also went ahead. So everything went very smoothly. I think everybody was able to pay respects to her and all of that. So I think in hindsight, they're probably regretting the decision, but I think they made a safe choice and just postpone it in honor of the Queen.
To be fair, it seemed like from what I learned, and England was actually in mourning. It was sad in general over the UK. So yeah, well, I mean, they made a decision. It's fine. Let's move on.
Yeah, and my last statement is, as you said, Aniket, it's just freaking weird, man. That the whole kingdom thing and the Queen and the King thing, it's just weird. I don't know. We are in 2022. We're recording this on the 13th of September, by the way. In 2022, it's still so weird to me. Let's move on to US Open tennis. This is what we're really for on this podcast anyway, right? So let's move on to tennis. So US Open just concluded. There was a winner in the men's singles side of things, and also there's a winner in the women's singles side of things. But let's start with Serena, shall we?
She's a phenomenon, an icon, a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Serena Williams.
Serena Williams, 1998 Australian Open. The impact that these two young ladies have made at such an early stage of their careers has never been done before.
From the public courts of Compton, California, to U.S. Open champion.
Grand Slam titles now. And it's Serena time again.
There's a match. Serena Williams.
2014 US Open champion.
19th Grand Slam of her career.
Serena Williams is the Grand Slam champion for the 21st time. Here we are. It's Serena Williams again. 2 fingers on each hand. 22.
Championship point for Serena Williams. And Serena smashes Steffi's record. It's number 23.
Serena Williams lost in the third round of the US Open. I think she's probably going to retire. We'll see. Don't think anything is official yet, but most likely I think she's going to retire. So as things stand, she has 23 Grand Slam titles to her name, singles titles, 14 doubles titles. There is nobody who has those many Grand Slam titles to their name. Just an unbelievable career. She's probably right now, I think by all accounts, I personally feel that she's probably the greatest person to play tennis ever. That's subjective, but do I like her? Do I like watching her game? That's another totally different thing. But just judging by her results and how she has played throughout her career, Abhijit, I think she's probably going to go down as the greatest to me. But what is your opinion, and how do you sum up her legacy?
For sure, man. She won 23 Grand Slam titles. And I think everybody knows this, she's been chasing Margaret Court's 24 for past few years, but she lost many finals after becoming the mother. People still try to undermine her legacy in the sense that, oh, Court has 24 and you have 23. But we all know that Court's titles came in, a lot of them came in the amateur era. I think Court won 11 since the Open era started. But yeah, Serena did it in the Open era with the best WTA field. and across almost 4 decades. She's been playing since 1990s. I remember watching her when I was a kid, and I'm turning 30 later this month, and she's still not retired. So, yeah, what a champion. I've always loved her serve. I've always liked her forehand. I love her, how passionate she is for the sport and what she's done for the black athletes in the United States. It really is very impactful. Like there are a lot of people who play tennis, and a lot of people, there are parts of the world where tennis is not that popular. But if Serena is playing, people are tuning in. I mean, that's very impactful. And I think she'll always be remembered in the world of tennis.
I think she's in my book also, she's the greatest of all time. Like, just the sheer consistency, it's unfathomable to think that someone could be so consistent. 23 Grand Slams, it's tough. Plus, you also got to give it to her that she came back from motherhood, and then she again started playing, and I still think she's good, but obviously you can see that compared to her past self, she's not at that level anymore. But the fact that she competes at international tournaments is amazing. But also, I did have issues with her throughout her career, and this is nothing to take away from her greatness or anything, because you can be good at what you do, and you can be an horrible person in real life. I'm not saying she's a horrible person. I'm not saying that. But on court, like, I still remember, I think the game with Naomi Osaka where I think Osaka broke down. That was the first, Grand Slam of her career. It was just, from a perspective, I thought that was the worst side of Serena I have seen come to life. And it was really sad the way she reacted. And she's also flipped out again on refs so many times. So again, this tells us humans are not black and white. We are all grey. But then again, nothing but respect for a career like that, because it is just unimaginable to dominate something like that. And I don't know. I don't see maybe Rafael Nadal might just equal her someday if he gets lucky, but that still seems unlikely.
Well, I think it seems likely, to be honest with you. But something that always stands out to me with these elite athletes, right, is sustained excellence in how they are able to, even as they grow older, how they're able to figure out their bodies more than anything else. Because by that time, if you're elite and if you've played it for X amount of years, I think you figure out your game more or less. You can adapt, you can adjust, because you have that innate knowledge in you based on your past experiences. So you figure out your game. You make changes to your game, subtle changes, some visible, some not. But I think for me, the whole elite athletes thing is how you figure out your body, right? Now Serena, I think very wisely, like any other elite athlete, has figured out a way to play tennis at a very high level even after she was older, right? It might be because I'm getting older that I'm thinking about all of these things, but that's another matter. So the just how she picked her tournaments. She was never she was never on the circuit, right? She picked her tournaments. She picked a couple of tournaments before every Grand Slam. She really did not play the French Open the last few years, I don't think, right, Abhijit? So she picks her spots, picks her tournaments to play in, figures out her body, figures out her conditioning, and then when she does play, because remember, when she comes back in these big tournaments, she's probably not seeded as higher as the others because she's not on the circuit. So for me it's the whole how she's able to figure out her body thing. Now, when she came on initially in the late 90s, I remember when she played the Australian Open and the US Open against Martina Hingis, right? She was powerful. She was also very, very fast, right? She was extremely fast. She could get to the freaking net like nothing, man. But as you grow older, your speed obviously takes a bit of a backseat. Not to say that they completely reduce or get down on speed, but definitely there is that. But it's how you figure out your body, because your mind, I think, is already there. Experience is already there as far as your playing style goes. So she was able to figure out her body very well. I don't think she was blessed necessarily with an athlete's body, so to speak, but she figured out her body, she figured out her conditioning. I'm sure she had a great team surrounding her. But it's over the last 4 or 5 years, it's how she was able to figure out her body and still sustain that high level, Abhijit.
Yeah, so it's all about scheduling, for these older athletes. I mean, tennis was a sport where players used to retire by the age of 30, Sampras, I think, retired when he was 32. Borg retired in his 20s. Tennis, now people are playing till the age of 35. Someone like Federer is 40 and still not retired. So that has changed in tennis in general. It's thanks to modern medicine and, easier travel and all those things. And now when you see Serena, as you said, what she did in last 4-5 years, still going deep in the tournaments, winning tournaments, it's only because she managed her scheduling very well. And I think Serena is gone and next is Federer, and I'm just preparing myself for that. I've been expecting this for past 10 years, but yeah, it might happen anytime. Federer is next, I guess.
And it's also, I think, important to get in context. I think her 23rd slam was back in 2016 or 17. So it's been
2017.
17,
she was
right?
pregnant.
Yeah, so it was 2017. So it's been a good 6 years now, 5 years. Maybe she's won. So, but again, hey, she's still been competitive and she still got there. So again, a big kudos, because it's more different for women athletes, especially after motherhood, coming back. Obviously, I've not experienced it, but it's just so inspiring to see folks like that. And I feel definitely it's a tougher road for them compared to men coming back after a physical situation like that. Yep.
And also, as Abhijit said, being a black woman at that time and just coming through with Venus is just something that, you see like people like Coco Gauff or Sloane Stephens now, who just admire and look up to Serena and what she means for like a black athlete in the world of tennis to come that far, right? So there's definitely that added element, because I don't know if I did not watch the Will Smith movie. Did you watch the Will Smith movie, Abhijit?
Yeah. King Richard. It's a very good movie.
That was
Please
my
watch
recommendation for today, but okay. Anyway, so and actually, if you go back in time, people who followed will know that actually Venus was almost like the chosen one, Serena being the underdog, and it's just surprising. It tells you so much about her mentality, about just her fortitude to go out there and be the best. Yeah. And let's not forget, she was one of the rare players who also played doubles for so long. Like, she played, and her doubles career itself is very interesting. That's a separate topic.
14-0 in the slam finals and Olympic gold medals. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is no doubt that she is the greatest tennis player. At least on the women's side of things, I think there is no debate as far as Serena Williams' legacies go. But I think for sure, I remember her one game, I think it was in Wimbledon or something, she had this terrible cramp or something on her calf. You could actually see that swelling up. She was beating that swelling with her racket, and that she just couldn't move. Luckily, she just kept going through it, just kept losing games. Just trying to extend the game as much as she could, because there were clouds on the horizon. You could see her dad just asking her, just stick on, there's rain coming. And then the rain invariably came, and that when she came back, she obviously got a little bit of treatment inside, but when she came back, she was still not 100%, but just gritted her way through and just won the tournament. So I think she had that instinct in her, like all champions do, where the just not giving up in any point. There'd just be any point, playing through injuries and stuff. But as you also said, and again, there is always the other side of Serena, where she was all of a sudden she would just be extremely angry at a ref, or extremely angry at a line umpire or something like that. Yeah, the two US Open episodes that you referred to was so weird. The Osaka one was horrible. I don't know what happened there. So was the flipping out on the line umpire, right, Abhijit? Do you remember that incident? Where
I think, was it Sam Stosur or King Clijsters? I think 2011 or 2010. I think it was 2 back-to-back years.
It was, I think, Clijsters.
Yeah, Clijsters. I think she got in fight with the line umpire. And, actually, there's there's a problem with this debate also a bit because there's a general stereotype of, an angry black woman, but at the same time, in situations like this, I would blame it on Serena on most parts, I think it's not true to it could, it's not about the stereotype. It was like, you could see what was happening and most people could see what was happening. So yeah, unfortunate incidents, but I think that's not gonna be a problem for her overall legacy.
Oh, for sure. That in no way is going to affect her legacy also. And also I think she's like all athletes should do in the 21st century. I think she has a really strong social media game over the last 4 or 5 years. It could be a PR agency or something like that, but there's definitely a push in getting her out there in terms of as soon as she became a mother. I think she's also a producer on some Netflix shows. I think there was a Naomi Osaka show that came out where Serena was an executive producer and so on. So she definitely has that set up in her as well. But speaking of stereotypes and stuff like that, I think she also played into a bit of stereotypes also. I think I think it was in the US Open against Naomi Osaka where she was talking about how because she was a woman and because she was she was playing into that stereotype of because she's that they're doing this, would they do that on the men's side and so on. So when I looked at the whole episode as objectively as I could, I must say it's obviously there are human biases playing in, but I think definitely Serena was in the wrong there.
Yeah, no, if we can find the clip, actually we should play that just to give our listeners a context of what we're talking about. And
but we should also play all her other glorious.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well.
It will be unfair.
You are the liar.
Code violation, verbal abuse, gang penalty, Mrs. Williams.
Are you kidding me? Because I said you're a thief. Because you stole a point from me. But I'm not a cheater. But why? But I told you to apologize to me. This is out. Excuse me, I need the referee. I don't agree with that. But you know how many other men do things that are. I don't think they do much worse than that. This is not fair.
And again, I want to. Given her career, so I think it spanned how many decades her career was. So I think 99 was
4, right? Yeah.
90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s.
So when I think about it as an athlete, when you have a 40-year career, 2 incidents, matlab chalta hai. Like it can happen. It can happen. You can have a bad. I think you're allowed 2 bad days at work. Over 40 years, it's fine.
For sure.
So again, I give her the benefit of doubt because obviously I've not met her, but she is a very inspiring personality, and I'm actually very excited to see her in her next avatar because it seems like she's very into tennis and wants to do a lot for the sport and other things in general. So very curious to see what her post-retirement life will be like.
She set up a firm called Serena Ventures, and now she's invested in more than 60 ventures, and she collaborates with Nike, and she's married to the guy who founded Reddit, so they have some business plans together. And yeah, we will hear about Serena again and again because she's gonna be a great businesswoman as well, I'm very sure.
Yeah. Also, just a quick word on peak Serena. I think when Serena was at her peak, I don't think there was anybody close who could even touch her, man. She came through what? Hingis, there was Lindsay Davenport, there was Kim Clijsters, Justin Hannah Harden, not Justin Hannah, I should say. There's all these players who came through, but peak Serena, nobody could even touch, not even Venus, right, Abhijit? There's no stopping her.
No, man. If you see her Grand Slam record, even these 23 single titles, I think she probably lost 4 finals, like 1 to Maria and a couple, 2 to Venus Williams, and I think 1 to Sam Stosur or something like that. And like last 4-5 losses, came in together. But she was untouchable, man. her serve, man. It's still so good. She defeated the world number 2 right now in this US Open. So at her peak, nobody could even come near her. Yeah, what a champion.
What a champion! What a great career. So we'll just leave this topic as far as Serena goes there. I think I'm sure as Aniket said, we're going to see more of her and in the news in the sporting world again. But let's move on to the actual tournament itself. Now, Abhijit and I were briefly chatting in the first week of the US Open, where I was talking to him about, it's probably going to be, I just started watching Alcaraz, man. He's so exciting. Kyrgios looks good. It's probably going to end up being a Kyrgios-Alcaraz final. We did not get the Kyrgios-Alcaraz final because it ended up being Alcaraz and Ruud. But let's talk about Carlos Alcaraz, man. 19 years of age, winning his first Grand Slam title. They're talking about on the commentary about Pete Sampras and how he won his first Grand Slam title when he was 19. It was the US Open again. But I think the similarities end there, right? Because he's not even close to Sampras' playing style. Alcaraz, I think, has took the game by storm. Reminds me of, because he's Spanish, I'm not saying that, but reminds me of an early Rafa Nadal, where in terms of how he gets to every ball, he's like super energetic, super enthusiastic. He feels like he can win any point, he can get to any ball. The exuberance of youth, you can just feel it coming through the television sets. He's such an exciting player. I think he has a game that fits all surfaces, I should say, because he has a great all-round game. He has tremendous ground strokes. He gets to every ball. He's also great at the net, right, Abhijit? So such an exciting prospect in the future.
Dude, so everybody is on the Alcaraz hype right now. I've been on that hype since 2020, early 2020. There's a channel called Trans World Sport. They usually interview these upcoming players. And I remember watching this dude, and the title was Spain's next Rafael Nadal or something like that. And everybody was like, there'll be no other Rafa, and, like, whatever. And then I remember Juan Carlos Ferrero, his coach, it all happened when that switch happened. I think at the age of 15, Alcaraz went to Ferrero, and since then they are doing, some incredible things. And 1 year ago, when we were talking on this podcast, he defeated Tsitsipas, remember? And that time, like, Tsitsipas was saying, I've never seen anybody hit the ball, even as hard as this little kid. And earlier this year, we saw him. There was one tournament where he defeated Rafa, Djokovic, Zverev, back-to-back, the quarterfinals, semis, and finals. That was, like, mind-blowing. And, of course, now he's been winning Masters. And, I mean, he was one of the favorites, to be honest. But to do this at the age of 19, to become world number one, win your slam, the youngest world number one in the history of ATP. I think tennis is in safe hands. I'm so happy that, he's doing so well. And he's so much fun to watch more than anything, It's so much fun to watch. He's like a mix of all: Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. Like, as you said, he's very quick to get the balls. He has those RPMs, what Rafa generates on the ball. He's managed to get those. Federer, he has that, he comes to the net, he's very graceful like that. And Djokovic, he gets the ball. He's very elastic. He has every shot in the book plus something more, So yeah, that's Alcaraz for me.
I was pleasantly surprised. I honestly did not follow him much before this tournament. I had heard of him. I had never seen his game. And this has happened to me like 3 times in my life, where I've seen a player for the first time and I have felt that they are special. He's one of them. So the first one I remember was Frank Lampard. When I saw him play for Chelsea, I didn't know who Lampard was. I'm like, holy shit, who's this guy? And he turned out to be Frank Lampard. And second was Lionel Messi. And the third one was, I felt like, oh, this guy is going to be huge. And just seeing him play a fantastic game, I thought, I think the hype is real. I mean, like, he's a kid, he's 19, and he's got a lot more to go. Obviously, it's an uncertain world. I just hope he keeps himself injury-free. I think that was Rafa's biggest problem. Especially, it does seem his game is very physical as well. Like, he gets to everything. So, but again, he's 19. So I think he can.
That's the key
he
thing.
He can take a semi-truck right now. So he's at that time. But anyways, very exciting, and I actually look forward. I'm very excited to see how he does from here on.
I think Abhijit summed it well. He said he's just fun. I think right now we just have to enjoy how he's playing. We just don't have to worry about anything else with injuries or so on. They will come later on. Right now he's at peak of physical fitness. It's probably only going to be better as the next couple of years go by. But man, he's fast. He's unbelievably fast. Those drop shots where you think there's no way he's going to get to that. he's way behind the baseline, and he just the way he runs and gets to it so comfortably, and then also when somebody lobs it over him, he just goes and runs back again like it's nothing. It's just, yeah, it's unimaginable to me that he's getting to all those balls. But definitely a player to watch out for. His ground strokes are so impressive. Some of his forehands, man, is just the power he imparts on them. I did not know about the whole RPM thing, but that he imparts so much topspin on the ball. But yeah, quick word on Juan Carlos Ferrero. I remember him. I did not know this until I saw his Wikipedia page, Alcaraz's Wikipedia page, that he was his coach. I remember him winning the French Open all those years ago before the reign of Nadal began. Does his playing style? Do you think Alcaraz is influenced by any of his playing style, or do you think Federer has just let him be? I think he's let him be, but I'm sure his at the net play is definitely Federer's coaching.
Yeah, but like Ferrero is like, the classic Spanish court clay player. They all had the same style. If you see Moya, Juan Carlos Ferrero, Rafa,
Curtin.
Curtin. But Rafa was different. But yeah, of course, he's let him just, be like himself, because the sport has changed so much. When Ferrero played in the 90s, it was a different sport, early 2000s. And now you have to be on the baseline so much. You can't go at the net as often as you would like to. But yeah, I think he has some impact, but it's more about the mentality and the training and the nurturing. That's how Ferrero has helped him.
I also wanted to add, like, even though he's 19, he seems like a very intelligent player. Like, his covering of the court, it's not like brute force like Nadal, just reach the ball, but because you can't go sliding on a hard court like Nadal does on this thing, but his covering of the court is fantastic. I think it's second to none right now.
Yeah. He's the best player, man. He's the world number one right now. He's the best player in the world.
I think his game against, was it Sinner? I think was a classic. Was just a wonderful game, the 5-setter. Now Sinner was an awesome looked to play a really awesome game as well, but Alcaraz, I think, was just too good at the time. You also, when you're riding a wave of confidence, I'm sure that has something to do with it. I know it's when in the heat of battle, those things probably don't come in the picture, but I think there has to be that mental thing in him, like, look, I've come this far, I can do anything right now. He was probably feeling invincible at that point. But you're so right. Those when he's getting to those balls, he's not getting to those like, yeah, I'm just getting this with speed and brute force and stuff like that. He was just his placements. Even in the finals, if we also have to talk about Casper Ruud. We did speak about him in the French Open when he made the final again. He's making all these finals, man. Just one more step, has to clear that final hurdle. But I think Casper Ruud, I think the difference to me between Casper Ruud and Alcaraz this time was, Alcaraz was deliberately trying to put him out of his comfort zone. Casper Ruud, to me, has comes across as a player who is very comfortable at the baseline or beyond. But Alcaraz is like, he's here, there, and everywhere. He plays all these drop shots. He comes to the net, makes the other player feel uncomfortable. So I think Ruud was kept out of his comfort zone by Alcaraz in the final, Abhijit.
Yeah, dude. Ruud, actually, I'm surprised that he reached the final of US Open, because Ruud is actually world number 2 right now. But he has never won a title above 250 level, ATP 250 level. And he's a clay court specialist. And he, of course, reached the final of French Open, unfortunately lost. But he when the final was going on, all my friends, these girls, they're asking me, who's this dude, because like he's good looking, and, he had that very good sportsmanship moment also, where ball bounced twice on his racket, and then, he gave the point away to Alcaraz. And but when, he took the second set, I still had some hope on Ruud. I think, he might figure out Alcaraz. But eventually, Alcaraz just powered through in 4 sets and, won the championship. But I guess Ruud is going to get a better player now, because he's lost 2 slam finals. And it just reminds me of someone like Medvedev, He also lost 2 slam finals, and then last year he came and won the US Open. Sometimes you need all these losses to become a better player. And I hope that's what it does for Casper Ruud as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You speak about Casper Ruud and how he has not won any big titles so far. He reminds me of. Do you remember Ivan Lubicic, the guy
Oh yeah,
who was taller guy?
Federer's coach now.
Whose coach is he?
He's Federer's coach.
Oh, is
from,
he?
Yeah,
I didn't
from
know that.
26
Okay.
from
Because he was
2016.
he was this guy who was always on the circuit, was always making these semi-finals. He was making sometimes finals, but he would never win a slam, right? That's what Root kind of reminded me of when you was talking about him. But obviously, Root has a long way to go. I'm sure he has, especially with all the big ones slowly retiring. It's going to be an open field soon, so we'll see how that goes. I think we should also talk about. We spoke about Root, but we also have to talk about. The American sensation Francis Tiafoe. He is, speaking of youth and exuberance and enthusiasm, he seems like a guy. Now, it could be a flash in the pan. It could be for real. Who knows? I guess I'm going to use a grand old cliche of time will tell. But Tiafoe is, who he reminds me of? He reminds me of James Blake. Not just because he's like African American or something like that, but his whole physique and how he plays reminds me of a little bit of James Blake. But then again, Tiafoe, I think, is right now a much better player than Blake was. Just different playing style. What did you make of the whole tournament on Tiafoe, Abhijit?
Again, when we talk about American tennis, we of course talk about Serena and all. But when it comes to men's side, they haven't had a champion since Andy Roddick won 3 US Open. So, I'm just waiting for an American men's player to shine right now, because with this, social media age and, now Netflix covering tennis, whoever comes up now, this Taylor Fritz or a Big Four, whoever comes in and shines right now, they will make a huge impact on the sport. And what he did, to beat Rafael Nadal in that match, I think that was spectacular. And then, of course, Michelle Obama also came recently. She came to see, the news reached, to those sections of the society as well. And again, very entertaining game. He's also one of those players, like, I put him in the category of Kyrgios, Alcaraz, Federer, who I will pay to watch, So yeah, he's an entertainer, man. So much fun.
You just spoke about Kyrgios. I was watching the first week of the US Open and I thought he was going to win it all, man. He was looking so good. I think he has his game figured out now. I think he now understands his game very well. So he hasn't let go of any of his past instincts. He's still playing some of those exuberant shots, some exotic shots. But I think that's who he is. So he's sticking to that, which is great. But he's also at the same time figured out how to win matches. I think win the big matches, I should say. So I was surprised, honestly, when he lost to Khachanov. He beat Medvedev, didn't he? Kyrgios beat Medvedev, and he went ahead and lost to Khachanov. So what did you make of Nick Kyrgios again? I thought he was going to win it all this time.
Dude, he's playing the best tennis of his life. I mean, he won he reached the Wimbledon final, and now again, deep in US Open. I think he's finally realized his potential of his talent. I mean, of course, everybody's known that, he's very talented and, he can beat the best players on his best day. But now he can actually understand, okay, going deep in the tournament, doing this on a constant basis. I think, he has a new girlfriend now. So, that I think he seems very happy in that space as well. And I think he's just, becoming a man in the sense that, he's trying to take care of things, and that is getting reflected in his game. That's my personal belief.
He also has the public support behind him now, which he did not have.
Yeah, he's such a divisive figure in tennis. So many people love him, so many people hate him. But I usually see a lot of people now supporting him. And now the next is Australian Open, where he won. He's the defending champion in doubles, and I think there's a very good chance he might go deep in the singles as well.
I think he has a shot at. I think he has at least one Grand Slam title to his name, Aniket.
Yeah, I mean, I saw his very early on game, and he seemed to carry what form he had at the Wimbledon final. I again blame his final loss to his way of handling himself rather than his game. I think the way he was serving, his serve still is pretty spectacular. But what I found very interesting, and this is why I love him, because it's been a while I've seen a tennis player, because I used to get ESPN updates on my phone, and I think twice something I got like Kyrgios fine, and I'm like, dude, what is this guy up to? And it would make me so curious to see why has he been fined. So apparently he received one of the largest fines this year, about $14,000 or something, for 5 offenses at the US Open. So he's outside, he's a colorful character, and as long as you don't do something bad shit crazy, I think it's good to have folks who bring another dimension to their game.
For sure. I think he was the one who raised an objection against Medvedev and coaching, right? Was it Kyrgios?
Tsitsipas, I think. Tsitsipas.
Oh, it was Tsitsipas.
Zverev and Medvedev, they've done it against Tsitsipas a couple of times.
Okay, that's Tsitsipas. Okay, but yeah, Kyrgios is, if he sees something, he's going to talk about it. If he sees something, he's going to react to it. And now I think he's figured out a balance, because he's still that guy. He's not a changed guy or something like that. He's not a transformed guy. He still has that in him, but I think he's figured out a way to win matches. He obviously has the game to do it. So Australian Open, maybe he has it, but I think he definitely has a Grand Slam to his name, at least in the next year. We'll see what happens. Now, I think let's move on to the women's side of things, where, we spoke about Iga Swiatek a few podcast episodes ago as to how she was unstoppable. Bit of a tournament like this, it looked similar this time around too. She was great. She breezed through. I think she had a couple of 3-setters in the tournament, but still, I don't think she looked in any kind of disarray or anything like that. Abhijit, she still continues to be the player to beat.
Yeah, man. She's 21, world number 1, third slam. And, I thought she was only good on clay, but man, she's doing so well on the hard courts. This year she had I think 37 match win streak, and she was serving bagels and breadsticks, the 6-0, 6-1 in many of those. She did a lot of that this Open as well. And yeah, man, she's the when Ash Barty retired, I thought, now who's gonna take that number 1 spot? Is it Osaka gonna come back, or is there any other player? And Swiatek, she just took on that opportunity, and she's the player to beat now.
Am I the only one who actually saw some uncanny resemblance in the men's finals and the women's finals? For example, Swiatek, fast, powerful, very similar to what Alcaraz was. And on the other side, you had a 2-time finalist, Ons Jabeur, who basically who was known for a drop game, but she just didn't get a chance. Swiatek was reaching anything and everything that Ons Jabeur had. Again, I was hoping that Ons wins, and only because I saw her live in Wimbledon, and I thought, she lost it that time, let it win. But after the first set, I'm like, Iga is taking this. I changed my loyalty immediately, and it was just because of a game. It was nothing more. It was I'm like, it's not going to be easy to beat her. She did fight though, Ons, to be honest, and yeah, I just saw so many similarities between Casper Ruud and Ons Jabeur in the style of plays, and the other 2 winners. Got them.
Now, Ons did save 2 or 3 match points, right, going in. Now, I think as soon as it went to a tie break, I think all these players, man, once you win, once you get the taste of a Grand Slam win, or once you are there, they figure out a way. Because again, I think it's overcoming that mental hurdle, right?
If you are at that
yeah.
It's also like muscle memory, right? If you've done something once,
you know what to do.
Yeah, you kind of figure out. It's again like we're talking about how Real Madrid freaking comes from nowhere and wins the Champions League. It is that thing. Once you figure something out, you know how to get there again. So
yeah, because especially when it went to a tie break, I thought, Swiatek is probably going to win this. There's no way she's going to lose that game, because I think again you figure out a way to win. You figure out a way in those key moments when let's say you're down 2-1 in the tie break, or you're serving for a match point or something like that. You figure out a way to win, and I think Swiatek did that. As you said, Abhijit, 21 years of age, 3 Grand Slam titles. She has more coming. I'm 100% sure of that. But what did you make of Ons in this tournament? And the final as well.
Dude, I just feel sad, man. I just wanted to win. I mean, it will be such a huge thing for African tennis and the Arab world. I mean, what Sania Mirza did in India, she will have a similar impact. But for a larger region, So yeah, I mean, we've spoken about her game when we covered Wimbledon. Amazing drop shots, plays well from the baseline, very strong also on both wings.
Power player.
Power player, and now it's just that I hope she wins a Slam soon, maybe next year. But yeah, my best guess would be again Wimbledon next year.
I think we should speak about a couple of names. And Aniket, you had a point to make? Sorry.
Yeah, I was so in the second set when Ons was playing Iga, it was very weird to see that Ons was actually putting Iga on her forehand for so long, and I'm like, dude, how can someone's backhand be so good? Like, basically, Iga was so comfortable on her backhand. She seemed to drop a lot of points due to unforced errors and stuff when she was playing forehand. And if you can have a backhand that's better than your forehand, well, you're half sorted, I think, in life.
Yeah, 100%, for sure. I think we should speak out a couple of names who've kind of taken a back seat. Emma Raducanu and Naomi Osaka. I think Osaka we've spoken at length. What do you make of Emma Raducanu, Abhijit? It's quite a year for her after winning the US Open last year. She's seen a dip in form. She's changed coaches. She never really looked good coming in, and duly kind of bowed out early in the tournament. So what did you make of her? And again, we should probably say that she's extremely young. She already has a Grand Slam title to her name, so she has a long way to go. But what do you think went wrong for her?
I knew this was gonna happen, man. Like when she won, she did something that no other tennis player has done, right? She came through qualifying and then won for the 7 games, and then won the Slam. And she had this 1 year now to cash in on that fame she's got. And even if you see her results in other tournaments, they were not that impressive. But again, she's someone who's done that now. So with age, I think she will get better. But then again, she lost the first round, so she's dropped down the ranking now. She's, I think, world number 80 now. So
the other thing also is it's the law of numbers, right? They say you always regress to the mean. So you have a mean value. You might see ups, you might see downs, but you always go back to your mean value, right? So I think Emma Raducanu seems to be a player to me right now. Obviously, we just can't say that she's not going to be there again or something like that. But you always get back to your mean. But when she won the US Open, I think it was right player at the right time. She was qualifying. She was riding that wave. She had the game. Not to say she was not a good player or something like that. She had it, but she rode the wave. But I don't think she has a complete game yet, Aniket.
So the law of large numbers, right? You go, you converge to the mean. Yeah, but then again, I would say she's a kid. Like, she's still 19, yeah. So for sure, I think again, I kind of second what Abhijit said. Like, when that happened, I had this feeling, and I was hoping I was wrong, but I'm like, oh, this not a one-time thing, but this is definitely a surprise. And it didn't seem at that point that she would do this regularly. Just because, like you said, she was at the right place at the right time. She played, I think, Leila Fernandez in the final. Just maybe time. I think I think you figure out, you learn things, and you grow. The thing is, when these people start so young, I think they have a lot of time at their hand, especially if you have done it at 19. Sometimes I also wonder, like, how do you keep that hunger going? If you've done it at 19, it's really tough to, I don't know, maybe desire more. So it could be anything and everything. We're speculating at this point.
Yeah, she did have a change of coaches, so we'll see where that takes. I'm sure she's going to now have a bit of a break leading into the next Grand Slam, Abhijit.
Dude, you know what? I just wanted to say, like, there have been, I think, this Grand Slams have been there since 1881 or something, and since then only about 125 women out of thousands and millions of tennis professionals who came in, who won a Slam, and she's one of them. Even if she doesn't win a Slam from now on, I think that's okay. Like sometimes we like, there's storytelling here, right? I mean, someone came in, an unknown player came through qualifying, won 7 straight matches, and she became a champion, and that's never gonna be taken away from her. And I think she will get better, and she will, probably win more in the future. But if she doesn't, that's fine too. That's what I think.
Yeah, but sometimes, you're right. So it is about storytelling, because if you remember, what do you remember Goran Ivanisevic for? You will remember him for that wild card Wimbledon that he won, right? Just he won one. That's enough for him.
Exactly. So sometimes, we'll still probably be talking about Raducanu many decades from now on. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's see.
Yeah, no, I completely, like, just winning a Grand Slam by itself is a feat, and doing it the way she did is another thing. So, yeah, I mean, you have your crowning moment when you're 19. That's a good life. So,
exactly. Any other standouts for you? I have a couple of weird observations that I noted down. But
Jessica Pegula, Coco Gauff. Those were actually my picks on another show before we did this US Open. And Coco Gauff just made her debut in top 10, and Jessica in top 5. Something about Jessica, she's a daughter of a billionaire. Her father is very influential. He owns a couple of American football teams as well. And there was always this, she's just this, rich father's kid, whatever. But now look at her game, man. She is, deep in the tournaments. She made 3 quarterfinals this year, 3 quarterfinals at slams. And now she's in top 5 of the world, the number 1 United States player. So yeah, Pegula was, I think she was impressive. And even her press conference, where she's just having a beer, like it became a kind of an iconic moment. I'll send you that link later. But yeah, she's so chill, man. And Coco Gauff also, we've been talking about Coco for past few years now, when she beat Venus at Wimbledon. But she also lost a French Open final earlier this year. But she's gonna get there. It's like, just give her some time, and Coco will make all of us proud.
What a couple of weird observations from me, right? What's up with those men's outfits, man? We know the one Alcaraz was wearing, that white and orange one. Like 5 or 10 other people are wearing the same freaking Nike shirt. I'm sure there are like stock Nike outfits that are available for all players to wear, but that was everywhere, don't you think?
No, it's about the endorsement deal. So what happens is, like, for example, if you must have seen Federer, wearing those RF, and Rafa's outfit is always different. So what they do is, with these marquee players, they have a contract where they make a different outfit for them.
Yes.
And they have their, logo, or, something that is very unique to them. And then they have these common pools, which are also selling on the Nike stores and online. So it's about that selling, right? And that's why you see all these weird colors coming, pink, neon, and all that, which is not that common. But now it's common in athlete wear, and it's just that they're trying to sell these clothes. And Alcaraz and Francis, Tiafoe, they haven't got that specific contract yet.
Yeah.
But now Alcaraz will get, I'm very sure.
Yeah, I thought so, but it was weird to see, because that same shirt that he was wearing, 5 or 6 other men were wearing the same thing as well. So that is weird to me. I haven't seen that earlier. I've seen a couple repeats in the previous Grand Slams, because all these smaller players have wear those stock shirts. It is weird. I don't know. I thought that orange streak shirt was everywhere.
That just tells you a lot of Nike athletes are playing Grand Slams. So
that's probably true.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing was the ball boys and ball girls. Remember in the US Open previously, they used to, when they pass the ball from one ball boy to the other ball girl or something like that, they usually, US Open, they used to throw it overhead from one side of the court to the other. They used to throw, like actual throw, over the head throw. Now Wimbledon has always been super traditional. They hold and just roll and stuff. Australian Open is also the same thing. Now I've seen the US Open is now rolling instead of throwing it.
Yeah.
Even I remember the ball boys and girls, they used to throw the ball cross court to the other end, over the overhead previously. They don't do that anymore. I don't know if there's a deliberate change or not. Something weird that I observed. Anyway, any other weird observations from any of you guys?
No,
Please go ahead, Aniket.
No, I was just going to say that after the men's finals, it was obviously on 9/11, right? It was a pretty somber moment, and I think both the athletes again did a good job, especially Casper, after his defeat. I think they did a good job to just talk about it. I think it was important. Until they spoke about it, just even though it was planted on the court there, it didn't register with me. And then once he spoke, I'm like, okay, that's really good presence of mind also after winning. So we can maybe have that audio as well. Anyway, we'll have Alcaraz's win. So yeah.
Thank you. And before we talk about tennis, I just wanted to say something, as I know it's an emotional day for Americans during this date. I send my prayers to everyone who lost their lives on this tragic day, tragic incidents that happened. In the tragic incidents that happened here in this city and this beautiful country of yours, and my heart and thoughts go out to everyone who lost someone close, a relative, or someone they loved. So it's something we never forget.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to rain on this parade, but you know, all these players have PR agents and stuff like that who make it a point to let them know that, hey, look, it is 9/11. Make sure you put a word in out there. Even I'm not saying they're unaware or anything like that. I'm sure they know that stuff, but don't put it past the PR agency to remind the players.
You know, but actually remember last year when Emma and Leila also they also spoke about it. I think it was amazing because they were not even born when that happened. Same for Alcaraz actually. But it showed that presence of mind and that maturity because it came so naturally. At least that's what I felt with the girls. Maybe not with the men this time. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's nice to,
yes, 100%.
Pay your respect, and so that's just part of.
I think even if a PR guy reminds you to talk about it, you have to. You are the one who's responsible for saying the words out, right? So
exactly,
it has to come
right. The presence of mind. You've lost one of the biggest tournaments of your life, and I give it to them. Like just being able to compose and collect your thoughts. It was interesting.
Awesome. So that was as far as US Open goes. Abhijit, looking forward, what do you think is going to happen the rest of the there is the finals coming up in London that happens every year, right? So
now they have shifted to Turin in Italy.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, but now immediately we have the Chennai Open that's happening in India this week. We have someone like Jeannie Bouchard. Carmen actually won a match yesterday, so she's probably going to become India #1 now. So those are some exciting news. Then there's a Lever Cup where the big four are coming together: Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Andy Murray, with Casper Ruud and Tsitsipas. So I think that that will be a great event to follow. And at the end of the year, we will have the world's top 8 players. So I mean, the rest of the year looks exciting. And for Austrian Open, I can't wait, man. Like, Alcaraz, Nadal, Federer might come back, Djokovic, if he's going to get the entry. I mean, it's all very exciting. I just can't wait.
You said big 4. Come on, you should say big 3, man. You can't just club Andy Murray just because just call it big 3. Andy
I knew
Murray,
this was coming.
he's a good player, but come on, you can't just club him with other 3 who have won at least 20 Grand Slam titles. Come on.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, big 3 plus Andy Murray. And I mean, I don't know why Wawrinka is not playing Lever Cup. I think they should get him sometime. Wawrinka is so much fun to watch, and he's also 3-time Slam champion and close to Federer actually.
So again, for those who are not aware, can you talk to us a minute about what the Lever Cup is?
Oh yeah, sure. So Lever Cup is a relatively new concept in tennis. It is modeled after the Ryder Cup in golf, where Team Europe plays against the rest of the world. So rest of the world is, the best players come from the United States and Australia for now. One day, hopefully, an Indian player also will be there. Some South Americans are there, Schwartzman and all. So it's like Europe's best versus the rest of the world. They play for 3 days, and every day your match, the points get, doubled and tripled. So you have to play till the last day for the conclusion of the event. So that's a very exciting concept. And you see Federer and Nadal teaming up, and Federer, Djokovic, they've teamed up before. And now this year it's, Murray is also in the mix. A lot of fun. It's a black coat. The Europe wears all blue colors, and the rest of the world wear all red. So that's kind of the arrangement. And yeah, it's one of the events I want to attend. Actually, I'm looking forward to going and attending this event one day. So yeah,
but it's not just exhibition, right? It is serious. Like,
it is a part of ATP World Tour now. It's a sanctioned event, so you don't get ranking points, but your head-to-head count it gets counted.
Okay.
Yeah, and they get crazy prize money. I mean, every player who signs up, if you win, there's prize money, and just for signing up, also they're like literally spending millions.
Why did the finals change from London to Turin? Was there a reason to do that, or is it just a decision?
ATP finals? It just they've been doing it in London for many years at the O2 Arena. I've actually gone and seen that back in 2019.
It's just a beautiful setup there.
It was a very beautiful setup there, but they just how do I say? They put it for an auction kind of thing. And Italy is putting a lot of money in tennis. So if you see, the next gen ATP finals also take place in Milan in Italy. Now this Turin, is taking place, the finals there. It's, I think, the push by the Italian Tennis Federation, and the ATP current president is also an Italian person. So, and if you go to Italy right now, you'll see even lower level tournaments, challengers and satellites and ITF events all the time. So that's why you see now the result, Berrettini, Sinner, they all are doing what they're doing because of what Italian tennis is doing. So that's one of the reasons it moved from London to Turin.
It's very nice. So just to piggyback off this, like I was thinking back in the day, like you mentioned about 2003, champion has not come out from the States, right? US. But there was a time where US was absolutely dominating. You had like Pete Sampras.
Agassi, Sampras, yeah.
So they used to be right up there in the forefront.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, just an observation I made while you were
talking. Same with the Australians, dude.
Exactly what I was going to say. Same with the Australians. Is Hewitt and Rafter and Philippus and all those guys.
So right now, Team Europe might win many Euro Lever Cup for upcoming years. But once we have someone like Del Potro and Hewitt and Roddick, and then maybe the Lever Cup team, like the European team, will be probably weaker. So we'll see what happens. But for now, it's like they've been winning every year. Europe has been winning every year.
It's a nice concept, though. I think we should end on. So do you think it's curtains for Sania Mirza? I think she said it's going to be. She said it was going to be her last tournament, but she got injured, so she was not able to participate in the US Open. So where do things stand now?
I think she will probably postpone her retirement. That's what the feeling I've got. Let's see.
Do you think she's probably going to play the Australian Open and then call it quits there?
Yeah, probably. That's where it started. I mean, probably not for you, but for me, at least, I remember watching her back.
Did she play the Australian Open? Wasn't that her first Grand Slam that she played in?
I think she probably played somewhere else, but she went deep and like really made news because of Australian Open. That's what I remember.
I remember watching her and Serena in the Australian Open. Like, I can't forget that. That was like my full family got together and we were like, oh wow, this will be. I mean, we knew it would be a tough game, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to recommendation. We'll start with the guest, Abhijit.
Okay, guys. So I recently read this book called Advantage India: The Story of Indian Tennis by Anindya Datta. Anindya Datta. And like, for someone who's a fan of Indian tennis, this book was amazing. There are stories from late 19th century to early 20th century, and he has chronicled everything. Why we Indians are great at doubles, Leander Pace, Mahesh Bhupati, the problem with the federation. So yeah, I mean, this is my recommendation. Yeah, please go read this book.
That's awesome. Aniket?
So my recommendations are two. One was King Richard, just the movie. I think it's a well-made movie on the life of the Williams sisters and the Williams family, actually, in this particular case. And the other one was I also saw this other movie called Rooney. So it's Rooney's documentary about Wayne Rooney. Just very interesting watch. So these are my two recommendations.
Okay, I don't have a lot of recommendations. I just only have well, we have a couple, but one is there is a YouTube package out there that has Carlos Alcaraz's top 10 points in the US Open. It is on the US Open Tennis Championships official YouTube channel. So go check that out, just to give you an idea of what kind of player he is, how he plays, how quick he is, how he gets to every ball. Everything that we discussed is encapsulated in that one video. So check that out. And my last recommendation is obviously News Laundry. Go to that website, click on the subscribe button. You should be able to find the subscribe button pretty easily there. You can subscribe to as low as 300 rupees a month. So definitely go to the News Laundry website. We are just talking about a new series that Kunal Kamra is hosting that is awesome. Anand Patwardhan was the first guest on the episode. He speaks about Ram Ke Naam, which is a great documentary if you haven't watched it. So check all of our features out. There is also a host of podcasts that the website has, articles, ground reports, news, and so on. So check that out. Go to newslaundry.com and hit that subscribe button. On that note, I think we'll play you out with some clips of the US Open, I'm pretty sure. So do check that out. But until next time, Abhijit, thanks again, man. We'll definitely meet again this year. We'll definitely have you on this year to revisit some old classics if we can. That is long due.
Sure. Thank you so much, guys. It's always fun to talk to you guys. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks to producer Lipi for producing this as well. Aniket, until next time, man. Great seeing you and great talking to you.
Yeah, everyone enjoy sport.
Enjoy sport. We'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone.
It's all over this time. Serena's last dance is at an end. Ayla Tomljanovic, the Australian, is the woman to end the fairy tale farewell for Serena Williams here. The greatest of all time now knows that her time is finally up here in New York. Simply the best, and she gave it to the end there, that amazing final game.
All the News Laundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to News Laundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.